there has never been a point in American history where the Constitution has applied to everybody equally, and there's such a huge difference between the law and law use. And also morality. They're like, those are three different things: morality, law, and law use. And they are not the same thing. And so when I see people like, the reason why people are appealing to the deep state is because liberals like the idea, these institutions are going to save us. The police are going to save us. And that's what makes them so lukewarm about demonizing the police when they shoot like 80 black people for like a month since the beginning of the United States of America, because like they still believe in the idea of the institution, right? And by institution, I mean both the agency and also the law itself. And so you have people coming out and writing these op-eds about, Trump firing Comey is the end of the republic and the end of the democracy, and all of these lofty ideas are finally dying with Trump. And I warn you to stop that, because that makes Trump seem like a unique evil. And again, if you think that, you're wrong. Like, if you think Trump is the unique evil, you're wrong. If you think Trump is worse than George W. Bush, you're wrong. Like, you are simply wrong. And all it reveals about you is that you're overly focused on his rhetoric. Now, don't get me wrong. Is Trump firing, Comey incredibly problematic and sketchy? Just to go back on, absolutely. It's so sketchy and so problematic. It just reminds me how dumb he is. Like, there are so many better ways you could handle this situation with Comey if you felt that he was actually going to be a legitimate threat to you. That him doing it this way is like hilariously bad, and it shows how much he really just doesn't think things through. But in terms of this other stuff, it's like no, you have to, again, the hardest, I said this when he first got elected, the hardest part about the Trump administration is going to be people who are just awoken to the nature of American society and the fact that it's like the America as like this big house has burned down if it was ever even built to begin with. And so they conflate everything that's wrong with America that they are finally observing with Trump. And so what we really, as commentators now, we have to do, and a lot of times it makes it seem like we're giving Trump we're being soft on Trump. Like, no, it's actually important to be able to point out, like, hey, what is Trump doing that is, business as usual? Like for example, when he fired a bunch of when he fired all those people, like, yeah, that happens all the time. When the website went down, happens at every president. It's just, what is he doing? That's just the next logical step. What was he doing that the Republican Party had been building towards for the past 40 years?
One that comes to my mind is
and what's he doing? It is anomalous.
You mentioned George Bush.
What is he doing?
I was going to say, you mentioned George Bush, and there's Dick Cheney. If we remember Dick Cheney is like, one of the problems that a lot of people have with Trump is profiting off of the presidency, personal profit off the presidency. We remember Dick Cheney and what was going on there is like, not only was there, so he put it in a blind trust, and so now we're supposed to pretend like he's not profiting off of it and everything's fine and all good, and that's what Republicans did anyway. But people were dying as a result of shoddy work that was being performed by the contractors that were getting these no-bid contracts from the government that were personal friends with the people that were putting the bids up in the first place. And so this is it's been a long history of this stuff. I want
to back up Richard's point here, because there's one thing that's one thing that's almost as bad as what you're talking about with Halliburton. The Department of Justice slapped Halliburton with a fine for destroying documents because of what they did with the cement that was sold to the drilling platform that caused the Deepwater Horizon explosion, because Halliburton sold it to them knowing that the cement would not be effective at that depth. And they had it up on their website. It's archived that this product was up on their website, and they only got fined for destroying documents because they destroyed all evidence, not only that they sold it, but that they researched this cement. I mean, they caused one of the biggest environmental disasters in history, and it's directly on them. And the Department of Justice just let them fucking walk.
Well, yeah, I mean,
which Department of Justice? Exactly.
Yeah. Trump is something that we've been building to for the past 40 years, right? And so the only thing that makes there are two things that make Trump especially unpalatable. It's his lack of media training, or rather his lack of media formality, and also, well, that's really just it. A lot, and because he could get the same thing. Oh, sorry, and also his impulsiveness, because he could get the same things done if he just took time, but he doesn't have that kind of patience. And so, frankly, it's frustrating. And by that I mean we can't let this is not meant to shame any people who are in the center, right? Any people who've been asleep, but it is meant to say that those people, especially at the Democratic Party, cannot be allowed to lead the legitimate resistance to Trump, or rather to Trumpism, to the state, to the system itself, because that's what we're really fighting here. They cannot be allowed to dictate what the term of this engagement is, and they certainly can't be allowed to to tell us that Trump is some kind of anomalous threat to America. Right. It's like, no, Trump is like I would say
they're praising the CIA to push back against Trump. That's like
they're praising the CIA and FBI. CIA. Yeah, that's all you need to. That's all you need to know, because like you can know how problematic the CIA is by going to the Wikipedia page. It's like right. If you go you can COINTELPRO is on these people on the intelligence agency committee. There's a whole section about stuff like that, and they any port in a storm.
If you
it shows that they don't have.
If you passed a basic history class in high school, you should know how problematic the CIA is. You should understand how problematic the country is. Just how we get so caught up in picking, little bits and pieces out here, and well, they did this, so they did this, and this happened here, or what about this? And we deify people that are absolute garbage. We don't take the time to just sit down and deconstruct why we believe what we believe in, and we're so willing to follow blindly off this damn cliff that people are seriously up in arms over Trump without realizing this is, like you said, the logical conclusion to everything that we've been doing for the past 200 plus years. The next logical conclusion after this is fascism, is full-on outright fascism, and then the next logical conclusion after that is the complete utter collapse of the United States of America as a country.
Well, I think it's actually, I think honestly, Adair, I think you're wrong in your prediction. I think you're wrong in your prediction. You're saying that we're going to move to fascism. I don't think we're going to move to fascism. I think we're going to move to a neo-feudalism based on corporate rule.
Yeah, we're gonna all be in corporate fiefdoms.
So pick choose wisely. Choose wisely.
Honestly, why we're going to go to fascism is what you say makes sense. But here's why I say we're going to go to fascism is because fascism is going to ride in on a populist wave. Because people are going to get fed up and be like, all right, I would rather, because again, the Dems have no such thing as a backbone, and the way the political system is set up in America, there's absolutely no way we'll actually get a leftist party out there. We'll never actually be able to get a real Green Party, a real Labor Party, a real, whatever you want to call it, party that is economically to the left. So everyone's like, oh, Trump and Bernie were populists, and Bernie was a terrible person, and so was Trump. But look at them, they're populists. They're populists. Sure, Bernie was a populist centrist, and sure, Trump used some populist language. He's not a populist. And that's the key, is Trump is going to put a lot of people off, but populism is going to bring a lot more people on. And I think we're going to move further and further to the right. We're going to move more and more towards authoritarianism.
I agree. Keep going quickly. I just want to say we have about 2 minutes left in the hour. We have about 2 minutes left in the hour, just as a heads up on that. But we can keep going.
I was going to say, I think pettifogging over the terms of it's something that people do when fascism doesn't actually affect them. Right? It's just like,
wait, hold on. Let me make my point though, okay? But the reason why I don't think we're going to hit the fascism is because the actual end goal of the people who are pushing fascistic means is to empower the corporations and de-empower the state. So we're not seeing these people consolidate state power. What we're seeing is they're using state power to make corporations and make the wealthy more empowered. So as a direct result of that, I don't see us moving towards a fascist state where they control everything themselves, towards some grand war movement, but rather towards de-empowering the public portion of the state and allowing the corporations to just be like, oh, okay, who do you work for? Okay, they provide your health care. They're talking about incentivizing public schools by giving them the credits for giving you, an employer, something for charter schools. They're talking about doing health incentives where it's like, okay, your employer pays for your gym, which gives them this, but they're going to give you a Fitbit so that they can track everything that you do, so that they get a discount on their insurance for you. I mean, my old companies used to take out what they called a peasant insurance policy on me, that in case I died while I was out at sea, they would get paid millions of dollars on my death. Not my wife, not my family, but they would get paid millions of dollars on my death. And I think that the fact that that's legal and the fact that that's common practice,
they don't have to disclose it to the person that they're taking the policy out on either.